everyone, welcome. It's true, this week is pre-recorded, and that bubble tree you saw, we're gonna go into a whole video. We taped it live and it's gonna be amazing. You're just gonna adore it. But I did want to start with something that was interesting. It's a summer trick you could try. In the glass shop right now, if it's 93, 98 in Michigan, I can guarantee in the hot shop it's way hotter than that. We stay super hydrated, we drink lots of water, and this week is just nice and hot, but we did some filming because we are going to be out of town. We are a small studio, there's not a ton of us, and when we go on vacation, it kind of affects everyone that's there. We try to take vacations at the same time so we don't need to stop the shows. And this week we were able to film something for you before we went out of town. So some of you know Jake is out of town. He's at a glass workshop. That's how we learn our skills and expand our skills as we go to these. They're kind of like artist summer camps. They're super cool. You get to go, they feed and house you, and then you just get to blow glass all day. So from 9 to 5, he's doing demos, assisting in the class, and then after 5, he gets to blow his own work, learning the skills and techniques because they're fresh in his mind with a partner, whoever gets partnered up with the class. And I highly expect after this video, he's gonna come back fired up next week for you guys and really ready to deliver something amazing. So meanwhile, we filmed one of his bubble trees. He went all out and did a big one. When we first started to film it, the iPad storage was full, and so the filming software would not film it because it was just like, there's no room on your storage. So then we switched to my camera and we got a nice long clip of the bubble pieces being made, the big bubble tree. Not sure where the audio is going to go on this, but we're going to clip it all together with this on the front end so you can see what that's all about. So you can fast forward or you can stay for my experiment. I should have left the lid on. I got some raw honey here from the farmer's market. I want to give you an experiment at home if you want to try glass blowing. This is something you can do with your kids, your grandkids. It's super fun. I suggest taking honey. This is unfiltered honey, so you can't see through it, and it's a little thicker. It just means that they didn't process it, put it through the spinner, and then heat it to pasteurize it. This is the most nutritious honey you can have. And I have a big jar made out of glass because that's, you always want to get your food products in glass whenever you can. And so I have a honey, this is like to put in your tea. You dip it in, and with the holes, when you mix it, it goes right through the spoon. Super cute. Bought from the local farmer's market. It's not a honey dipper per se because that looks a little different, so we're going to work with what we have. I don't have a honey dipper on hand, but we had done an experiment like this in the past, and it's pretty cool. So this is honey from the farmer's market. I'm going to show you the consistency of it. If you want to try this experiment at home, I'd also suggest taking some honey and putting it in a jar and then stick it in the freezer for a couple hours. So you can see different consistencies because this is what the glass looks like for us. Now, our freezer is amazingly on the blitz. It's summertime, we have no ice, no freezer. So I'm just gonna show you room temperature. So I'm dipping the honey in the stirrer, and this is just like the glass. You need to twirl it to keep it on the instrument. If I stop turning it, it drips off. So for me right now, if this were glass, it's actually a little cooler than a good working temperature for glass. And how do I know that? Just the way it's moving. So there it drips. If this were glass, I'd actually say this is a little cold. The cool part is if you take this and you stick it in the freezer and do it, it's going to move a lot slower, but that's going to be the challenge. That's the dexterity. So without further ado, let's get started on the video. You are watching the Glass Academy. Our show is called The Gathering Point. This is show number 273. We are happy you joined us. We hope you enjoy the video and enjoy your summer experiment. All right, we'll see you on the flip side. All right, welcome back, everyone. Part 2.
All right.
So because we are stitching together a video, we had a hot moment there. Oh wow, look at the sun on the piece where we needed to step away, but no worries. we know how to pivot. If there's anything we learned these last couple years, it's how to do the dance and to pivot to make things work. So back on the bench, Jake is working on the tree trunk. There was a short pause while we stepped away. He's opening the tree trunk to the proper size.
You want me to get started on the first bubble?
Oh, yeah.
And am I thinking that it's me and Brendan bringing bubbles, or is it me and Brendan helping you out with the control?
So what they're discussing now is how, like, the best way to do this. And so it could be, there's a few options. Oliver could bring the bubbles over, Brendan could prep the bubbles, or they could go back and forth. Brendan could watch what's happening and then mimic Oliver. There's a couple different ways that they can put this together. A lot of times timing is everything. You don't know how to do it until you get started. That's where we're at. It is the daytime. You can see the garage back there is shining in the sunlight. We have skylights in our roof. Normally during the show you don't see that. So the sun is moving around and shining on the powder table right now. We're going to be using the super sifter shortly.
Even blown.
Jake, this works out good. You can concentrate on what you're doing, and when we're done, we'll have you sit down for a mini interview.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Whoa, that looks so cool. It looks like he's gonna like start talking.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like I was saying in the beginning, it's been difficult finding the proportions of the trunk and how wide to make it. To get it pressed up to hold that mass of bubbles, which is a lot of bubbles. So this one, ideally, I would have had a wider top or platform. But we're going to see how it works.
So traditionally, if you watch our show, the software that we use allows us to zoom in and out differently than just the Apple iPhone. So it's going to have a different quality to it.
I might whip up the second one after this one.
The cool thing is you're watching the learning happening right here.
I like the size of that.
Looks good. I'll do the next one. I'll make it a lot bigger, and then we'll have a nice third one that can be right about that size as well.
Okay.
Brendan is standing by. His role is to assist, whether it's a door, grabbing the pipe, doing a reheat. With glass blowers, you always want someone available because there's always something you forgot.
We're gonna
You need
squish
a
this one
paddle,
on
you
there
need
and then hand it back to
torch.
you.
And we can't ask questions live, but Jake is going to do some voiceover later for this
A little bit
piece.
cooler next time, actually.
I'm doing good right now. A little bit colder, and Oliver, you got to heat it, heat the neck more than the
The
bottom.
actual bubble.
Yeah.
I got it.
So I think at this point, Oliver's going to babysit the piece, and Jake's going to preheat
Push it with the paddle underneath.
and start the next
Yep,
bubble.
right there.
Yep. Oh, we are champions.
You are so good.
Take that guy from you.
All right, Oliver's got it, so Jake's gonna get a pipe. Another thing Brendan's doing on the back end that you don't see is he's making sure there's enough pipes in the queue. You can see in the pipe warmer there's a good, I don't know, dozen pipes ready. Because this is gonna take a dozen bubbles to go on the piece.
A lot
This is our clear tank, just dipping into it. Jake can scoop out the amount he needs. And again, Jake will do an interview after this piece, so he's gonna talk about his perspective. Dipping it into the color and then rolling it on the marver allows him to shape it.
You just did 1-1, yeah, Oliver?
1-1, yes.
They're conversing about making sure they have the right color proportion. And just a quick little time in the furnace will melt that color in. And when he sits down, he'll be able to use the block and the jacks to continue to shape it. Jake wants these bubbles hollow, so that pipe is like a giant straw. And when he's ready, he'll blow down the pipe to expand it.
All right, I'm gonna trade with you in a sec. I'll take this to the bench.
The cool thing, one of the
Give me a light
reasons
puff, Brennan.
I really like
Real
Dale
light.
Chihuli's
That's
work
good.
is because he does multiples of things.
Bug wild.
I didn't think you were getting buck wild like that.
And so Jake is setting the stage for the giant bubble. This tree is going to be big, big, big. No messing around. Jake hit the ground running. The giant tree.
Flash it pretty consistently, that putty's still moving. But every flash I was taking it all the way back in there to make sure he was getting on the tips and I'm ready to drive.
Brendan, you could shield his hand when he cuts. The bubble is ginormous. Jake's going all out, man. But you can see how quickly.
Yep, so now something in between the first one and the second one.
Good, we're on green flags.
All right, well, just bring me what you can.
You can see how quickly the bubble size increases, but it's like bubble gum. It's like soft and mushy. He's able to push it on there, manipulate it around. Brendan's working on the doors. We have doors to the glory hole which allow the heat to stay trapped inside more, but allow you to go in with a bigger piece.
Closing the doors to over here and grabbing the fluffer on each one.
Now, Brendan's a student at college. He's learning glass blowing, and when you have visiting artists, they will teach you how to maneuver in a hot shop. But this is not something Brendan typically does in his day-to-day activities. So Jake's coaching him on how to do it. You see Oliver in the background getting the glass. He's using a wooden block, and he's going to shape it. And as they go into the glory hole for a flash, I'm going to pop over there and show you what's going on. Wooden buckets for putting rolls sit in the water bucket. Oliver shaped it.
Out of the bubble.
Looking at how it's moving, I need to take another peek here.
So the Apple phone, the version of the shop is pretty cool. It gives us a wider angle. Super nice. Zoom in a little there. The more they do of these bubbles, the more they'll know exactly the size that's needed.
Well, what's interesting about this particular tree is that they progressively get smaller.
All right, making sure you heard that. They progressively get smaller. This is so fun. It looks so cool.
Pretty sweet. Is it gonna be all right then? If you don't mind giving me the extra time to go, like, if you go first on me, like, you go much. Yeah, go one gather or two? This one's one gather. That was kind of, do your best not to have any folding color. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm.
Okay, Brendan's gonna try to, as best he can, get in there and shield Jake's hand because it doesn't look like much, but I'll tell you.
It's making a big difference.
Yeah.
Let me know if we're taking a thickness on those.
That was a good thickness. If this next one can be bigger, that would be awesome.
And why do you need this next one bigger? What are you looking for?
I'm still trying to get that base canopy established so I can shrink it up and give it a tree-like shape. If it's too, the bottom base is too slim together, then it just is one tall stalk of foliage. Sweet. But this is establishing the width of the tree. This last one will be the base.
And what made you go so big on this one?
For the members.
Oops. For the members.
Yes, please.
Would you like some Parmesan? That's what Brendan just said. Some Parmesan on your Caesar salad?
I love how the light is shining right on that garage. It's hilarious. Looks like a spotlight's on it. You'll notice we didn't put our wood wall up because we're moving around in the shop too much. Sometimes we have a wood partition in the back so you can focus a little more on the space. But with this particular item, we're going back and forth a lot. And so that wall needed to not be there.
You know what I really want to do? I love the idea and everything and every style of art of like some hidden gem in the piece.
Brendan, you can give me a bigger block of nice handmade, please. Alright, so it might be right there.
And I really want to, like, looking at the whole tree. And I've already thought about this. I can't figure it out yet, but I'd love to have like a gem. If I had like if there was like a gold chunk of gold floating somehow in the middle of that.
Well, are you thinking you're going to get a lamp worker like Mo have make something to put in there?
Yeah, something. Or I was even thinking like frit. If I heat it up and had frit around the edge of it or something with some sort of like special treat.
Well, you could do a little clear gather with a gold leaf on it. You know what I mean?
It's a good idea.
Not this tree. We're like in the middle of the tree. All right, they're prepping some more bubbles, and I'm sorry, just like this tree looks so good. And that sunlight coming through.
Take one more. There you go, Oliver. Yeah, this is probably the biggest, most amount of glass I've had for handle. That's the most glass Oliver has had to handle in his glass career, and he's doing it in the background, figuring it out, and it looks really good. And just give it a nice angle, and maybe hit the tip on the marble on your way by, and we'll be good to go. That's good, Brendan.
You guys don't understand how stressful this is. There's so many moving parts in this. Filming during the show, trying to get this all done. It's kind of a comedy show. No relaxing here, no rest for the weary. Here's the piece again. glass blowers working it out.
Oh, I'm working up a sweat today, Jake.
Yeah. How are you doing? Good. We just got happy hour after this.
I'm gonna be so stinky.
Stinky glass blowers. That's why we always carry deodorant in our bag. Secret trick of glass blowers. All right, Brendan again is blocking the area with the paddle. Now the piece is starting to get heavy. I can guarantee there's a
Another one just
balance
like
there.
that.
No, now we can start getting smaller.
Okay.
That was really nice, dude. Nice work.
Thank you.
In the summer too, that paddle's gonna start getting hot. So on occasion, Brendan might want to dip it in water and cool it off.
All right, I'll take the glass here.
You know, Jake, too, you can have Brendan flash it. Give yourself a break.
Get the tip harder than the bottom.
The goal is when you're the glass blower to work with your team. Sometimes you need a breather. Sometimes you need someone else to flash the piece so you can see what's going on. You can get a fresh look at it. Brendan's running to the door, so he's got to hustle. This is also why, as an apprentice glass blower, you start out doing what Brendan's doing. That's teaching you the timing of the glass,
Watch how I'm going to try and use the
what areas need to be focused on, and how to be a good gaffer at the bench and have your team work properly. So Oliver's watching timing. He knows he needs a smaller bubble. Jake is managing the heat of the piece. He's got to watch those tips, which that's another thing, Brendan, could be torching the tips of your trunk.
He's been torching them.
Okay.
Looking pretty flat, actually.
When you also work in a team, you kind of assign different people to look at other things. Now Brendan's kind of new, so he doesn't know the edges of those trees on the bottom. Those need to be kept hot. And so not only does he need to keep an eye on the punny, he's got to watch the tips of that trunk so that Jake keeps it nice and hot. All right, now he's going to turn the piece, and I can tell you, when you're a new glass blower, that is a tough situation. You're nervous. Am I doing it right? All you have to do is keep the piece on center, and I'll tell you, it is not an easy thing to do. He can't flash it right now because the glory hole's not open, but he can use the torch just like he's doing to make sure the edges are nice and hot. Leverage is a big thing, so holding it up in the air takes away some of the weight of it. It transports the weight in a different position, and it makes the piece less heavy. I don't know how that's possible, but it's true. It's important to keep the glory hole shut because we don't want to lose that heat.
Perfectly straight.
Are trees perfectly straight?
Yes. One more flash, or are you ready, Oliver?
It's funny.
One more coming your way.
It's funny in glass blowing, we have this thing sometimes where we want things super straight and on center. But when you look at life, we're all a little off kilter. Nothing's completely centered or even. Robots do that. In life, you need a little imperfect balance. All right, the weight is getting really heavy. The piece is also tall. This is not a piece that I'd be able to handle at this point being shorter. That's why the style of the artwork is always conducive to who's making it. Great shot of all three of them.
Steady now. We can start getting a little smaller and a little hotter on these next ones.
So he's using some muscle.
Yeah, that was still a 2 gather. You still want another 2 gather?
You can start doing your largest 1 gathers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one though. A lot of leverage now on this putty.
So the handle is starting to get warm. So just dunking it in the water here is going to cool this off. We want the top to stay hot, but this is the part he's going to handle. So we're going to just dip that in the water and that will cool it a bit.
Roll over the pipe cooler, and after this next heat, cool it down. Roll over the pipe cooler so it's a little closer. Oh, you want to? Yeah. Thanks for cooling that down, whatever that was.
Haha! That's why we needed one more assistant. There's lots of moving parts. So Brendan's rolling over the pipe cooler so Jake doesn't have to go as far across the studio. I kind of was hinting when Chris was making the punny to dip the punty and give him a cool punny, but he was listening to something else. You always want to chill the punny on a bigger piece before you bring it over. Now the glory hole is starting to lose a little heat. That right door is slightly at an angle,
That tiny little hair.
and so it's losing some heat. Even though it's a hot summer day, all of these different things, it's going to continue to lose heat if it's not closed all the way. So Oliver's at that second bench. Most glass shops have 2-3 benches so that they can do exactly what you see happening. All right, this is cooling the pipe. It's our fancy dancy pipe cooler back from 2000 and I should say 1902. We made that pipe cooler in 1991. Now they have like fancy foot pedals and all these different things they can use for the pipe cooler.
Sorry, dude. All right. So, show. I say think about it like a 20% shrink each bubble now.
Okay.
If you're watching the show, we can't hear your comments. Normally I'd ask at this point, how many more bubbles do you think he would add on to this?
Yeah, for sure.
But that's not a question you can answer. So what is
Ready,
he
can you
looking
hold the pipe
for?
steady for me? If I can push into this.
He's looking for symmetry, overall size and scale. I'm not sure why he went so jumbo on this piece. When you're training a new team, sometimes not the best idea to go super large because you got to train the team. So
And probably gonna have
for
you
me,
tuck
this
that
is nail biting.
fan down to the floor for me.
You know, you might need a trail around your punny for leverage too.
Yeah, I probably could use one. Good call.
I mean, I could set the camera on the marver.
No. Brandon, if you want us to bring a wrap for the trail, it's a big old recycle gather.
Is he comfortable doing that?
Say it again?
Is he comfortable doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
What are we doing? Trail.
first why that glass is fresh.
Meet you at the bench here.
Bring it over right now.
Yep. Ready to get in the heat? Yep. Ready?
I always tell everyone when they come in for classes that like we only sweat because we're in the heat, you know. We don't need to be really pushing on the tools hard at all, nothing like that. And for classes, that's true. That is not the style of glass blowing we're doing today. Workout today.
Work out.
That's a beautiful size, beautiful temperature.
Thank you. I made that just for you.
Thank you. I think we can get away with 2 more of that size.
I have to be very aware the camera is nice and hot. I have full confidence we'll get to the complete end here. But if for any reason we don't, we got another camera. Try to keep that door closed if you can. Oh, because you need both doors now? Should we call in Amy from the office and have her be a door closer?
Sure.
Where is someone? Ellery, could you grab Amy and have her come out? Right, Ellery was doing shipping. Amy's in the office. She's one of the people, if you call, she's gonna be answering the phone. She's in charge of events. She's an admin assistant. But Amy is what we call a quick start. She's always willing to try new things. So we're gonna get her on door duty.
Heavy spots. Put your hand up front, bring it right over.
Can you assist us? We're doing a regular video now. Those doors, they open and close. If you walk around behind the shield, Brendan will show you how to open
You're
and
pushing
close.
15 pounds.
I
Yeah.
just need you to open and close the door.
When you tell me to?
Yes. All right, Amy's game. She doesn't know what she's doing. She will open and close the door. So
We will
after
communicate.
this,
I think just 2 more is going to be great.
yeah.
My toes getting crushed there.
Yes, it was. All right, Amy, push it. Perfect.
You take this, actually, I'll do this. Beautiful, there we go.
Yep, Brandon's helping to turn the pipe because the piece is too heavy.
Flip it.
And it gives Jake some
Right there.
leverage. It's also really tall. And so Amy's new role is to, when they're ready and start walking that way, she's going to open the door so they can get in.
Oh, I think we're going to need 2 more.
All right, Oliver's dipping up.
Oh,
Jake,
don't
direct
grab
Amy.
one more big pipe.
on his punty. That punty's really rapidly cooling off. They might do another moil wrap on it, I'm not sure. You can see for us, the orange of the glory hole, it's cooling down. That's why it was super essential Amy got out here, because losing that heat will cause the piece to cool super fast and it won't be good. So right now Jake is focusing on the appendages of the tree trunk. That's where they need more heat while the top of the canopy is cooling off. Oliver's blowing up the
all
next
that glass,
one.
Oliver. I've been envisioning a way that we could just do one.
At this point, it is getting super heavy.
Well, my wrist isn't going to make it to the red pipes.
Yeah, that's another thing. You will get tired, your body will give out before the piece gives out. So Jake went all out creating the jumbo tree. Which is super fun to watch.
Yep.
One wrong move and the whole thing goes down the tree. Take your time, you got it. You are so strong.
Put it on my toes on a blowpipe.
Lining it up, a lot of teamwork.
Right there. That's nice, Oliver.
All right, this is where Brendan's gonna turn the piece.
Hold on now. Just
Brendan,
hold
can
the
you
horse.
turn the pipe?
Glass in front of that. What the fudge is going on there? I got it.
Slow it down.
What do you want the front glass in? Never mind.
You can also put the pressure on standing outside of the bench.
I think it was just thin or something, maybe. That was a little bit of a thinner side. I can't remember that. So we're gonna need one more then.
Watch your moil.
Nah.
Watch your moil. Oliver, you can use the small torch on the
A little
moil.
thicker where the neck is because I want to be able to torch it, smooth it out, and have it be the top of the tree. Okay. Thicker and smaller. What? You said thicker and smaller, right? Yeah. About the same amount of glass, it's not blown as thin. Okay. Cool.
Do you want the hotter torch on the punny? No, you're good?
I think it's good. It goes and it's ripping hard. Thinking of white powder, not pink powder.
For what, the top?
On top. After this one, let's cool it down again one time. All right, back there, Amy? All right. Light filler. Hi there, everybody. If you're watching for the first time, now's a great time to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's right.
We want you to like,
Hit that
subscribe, and
notification
share.
bell, like and subscribe, and you can be notified when we go live, so you can watch Jake sweat the next time.
Do it every week. Tuesdays at 6 p.m.
You didn't think I had an enemy to close the channel, did you, Jay?
Huh?
Okay.
Now we got a little lotion, baby.
Remember, you got to sign it. The GA
I
stamp.
got literally the perfect spot. You got it? Literally the perfect spot to sign it on.
All right, one more heat, and then we're doing it, Oliver. Okay.
Tight in here.
Yes, it is. You like living on the edge. Just commenting that it's tight
All
to
right.
get it in there. That glory hole is only so big. It's like a giant bumped up
I'm
tree.
gonna flip it up and then let you hand me the time.
Thanks.
Low, super light.
Can.
Good. That's what I'm talking about.
You
Here, run it. And then when you fluff it up front,
Oliver, can you turn the pipe?
Yeah. Double type turning, Jay.
yep, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Keep it smooth. That's looking amazing. Switching directions on you.
Okay. That's it.
What are the next steps?
Next step is the GA stamp and then the powder.
This heel taken off. And we're gonna powder it up. Brandon, I'll learn the door here. What I'm gonna grab the stamp in.
Tobacco, Brendan, tobacco. All right.
Go, Ellery, go! You are so strong!
Now we're just hoping and praying the punny's gonna hold out on us here.
Well, you got a torch. Torch it up.
Quick flash. Turn that.
We can probably do it on this one, Brendan. It's going right there. Right there. Right there. Yep. Whenever you're ready.
Bring it on. 2, 1, hot.
Flip.
Right there.
Grab that door.
All right, up next, someone's gonna head to the powder station. We're going with that, and we're going with
Maybe. I get you back in here on the door.
white powder, super light. We're gonna start off like as high as we did on the last one.
And Brandon, you come over on this side.
What color, Jake?
That's
It's
good.
gonna be white.
Okay. Stand this way.
We can take one more heat, no rush.
Do you want a yoke over here? Or are you gonna hold it?
I'm gonna hit it at a pretty high angle. We can skip the yoke. Remember, we kind of did like 3 spots. I'll hit the spot, tap, 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 move to the next spot.
Yep, you just let me know if you need me higher or lower, okay?
Okay. Pretty much just don't move left or right though. I'll adjust it.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. Good.
Yep. Good. Take a look at it. Nice.
Come on, Jay. Have him cut this. It's going right into his mouth.
Okay.
Can you stand this way or are you done?
I guess, yeah. Was it for me or for the camera?
It's for you.
Turn that. That's clean.
So many choices. The artist is hard at work. Thinking, thinking, thinking.
Why don't we put a little pink on top of it? Okay. We'll just do the same thing and try and shoot for the same 3 spots. Alright? Brendan, will you fluffy the bottom? Come over, we'll do it, take one flash, and then we'll knock it away. Okay, go to the table on your right side.
Are you clubbing it away or are you knocking it in the annealer?
We're gonna glove it away. That's good. Yep. Breath, everybody. Alright. Got a lot of motion, doing good. I'm gonna fluff the bottom, but you go ahead and warm those up. Yeah. Okay, keep turning. I'll fluff it.
I want to torch the powder, yeah.
You would?
Torch the powder. I would.
Let's color it. Alright, you ready? Try and carry it by the trunk.
What am
We don't need to worry about polishing. I'm just going to knock in your hand, get your hands in the middle on the trunk, and we'll walk it over.
Which annealer are you going into?
Number 3. Take this off. Right side. Nice. Woo. Send, dude. Dude, we had to move with that guy. See me? Oh my goodness. Wow.
Wow. Hunga, hunga.
All right.
Thank you for your impromptu help.
So we're doing another one?
No, we
Look
are
at
done.
him.
We are
Look at me.
done.
Brendan, you're not bad.
Cut off easy.
All we gotta do now is make 7 custom orders for a Father's Day happy hour event.
Ah!
I'm gonna leave some water.
Yeah, it's time to sit down.
You got a good hour before anything. You can go sit and chill out.
I think I'm gonna go have a lie down.
Yeah. But hey, you guys, we got a membership. This is the gathering point. We stream every single week. We do all kinds of content. It's a family business in Dearborn, Michigan, and we've got an incredible team. We make incredible content, incredible glass blowing for the glass blowing amateurs and the people who are just amazing people.
Absolutely, guys.
Have a great night.
Oh, baby. Here she is, folks. Sophietta. She's a little hungry. Well, what's happening, glass community? It's a beautiful day. We got our cat getting bigger here in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Oliver, Gabby over there.
Howdy,
got a
Gabby.
wave from her on her way by. And we got these incredible pieces from this past pre-recorded show for the internet, for our content, for our members, for the community, for
The people.
ourselves to make really cool stuff and feel good. It was a great show. It was a sweaty show, and we've got a lot to think about.
It's been a while since you had me working that hard. In the middle of summer.
Oliver was pumping it. It was hot out. It was like 90 degrees that day, and Oliver was bringing each of, as you just saw, each of these large individual bubbles. And I think you said during that video that those were some of the largest gathers that you've wrangled. Is that
Yeah,
true?
that's by far the biggest gathers I've had to do.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's an interesting conversation. We'll get more in depth about that particular one and the design of this whole tree and what I'm thinking about it, where it's going to go, what it's going to lead to, what we want to change, what we really love. But how those bubbles were brought is part of it, and as is everything about the piece. So now that we've been perfectly vague, let's get into the specifics.
okay, that sounds fair. Okay.
Why don't we take a look? We take with the LED a quick pan over each of these. 3 of these were done in production during the week at our studio, the Glass Academy. As you know, is how we do it, folks. We're a family-run glass business in Dearborn, Michigan. We've been here 20 plus years. We've been streaming for 4 years now. This is show, I believe it's 273 or 274 actually is this show. But you'll have to just look at the title to confirm that. But they're going by fast. We're putting out a lot of work, and this is a really cool, these are something that are a little more in depth. We make a lot of product to get into a lot of customers' hands. Hey there, you little son of a gun. To get into customers' hands. We don't want to make stuff that's out of range for our members. We want to have stuff that brings people joy, is at an affordable price range, and can be enjoyed by the general people. And that's part of the reason we love doing the content that we do, is because we can get this out to everybody. You guys can see our process. You can meet our team. You can learn every day almost about glass itself, the material, our brains as artists, how it works. And that's going to be kind of what this annealer reveal is about, is a little bit of that artistic journey through a new product that's kind of brewing and has been brewing for quite a while. I'm really wishing that I would have brought one of my bonsais out to show you guys. So maybe we end the video, because that's another product that was done 2 years ago that I've just now seen a lot of correlation between the products.
Well, Jake, why don't I pass off this camera to you,
Are
and
you
you
seeing
can.
this?
We're getting a little bit of it. We got a jungle kitty. Why don't you get some good B-roll of edit here and talk a little bit about that, and I'll
Okay.
run out and get you a bonsai.
Thank you. Maybe grab grab the big one.
By
It's
your
to the
desk?
right of my desk. Yeah.
You got it.
Appreciate you. So what I want to talk about with these is that we've started off with the smaller ones, and the stems are super gnarly and super cool. This one's got a
spirit kind of entity put into it. These other ones here just have a lot of powder and a lot of, I love the shape, the bend, the size of this pink one here in particular. But you notice here on the big one during the show, we put a hole into it. And I briefly talked about it, but it was such an involved show and we were sweating and it was such a heavy piece that it was really difficult to, there's another hole over there, really dive into what I wanted to talk about in regards to what's inside that hole. These are totally, excuse me, the star of the show, folks. Okay, all right. Excuse me now. I'm gonna get you back to your food over here. What I really want to do, and something I've really been in love with in artwork, is having some sort of hidden aspect to it. And I'm imagining if there was a way to get lit on the inside of this tree and have some sort of like diamond, a blue rotating glowing diamond, or something that you would look around the tree and see this fantasy bright color oriented super glassy entity, and then look into it and see that there's something either just growing or something being held within the core of the tree. I think that would be a ridiculously cool artistic aspect to these, and that's just coming down the line of things that may happen with this product. Thank you, Oliver.
You're welcome.
Check this out. These are from a couple years ago, and this is another style of tree. You can see the similarities in the bark going on here. A lot of gnarly, crazy action. This one's been sandblasted, the bowl, and has some, what do you call that, peat gravel
Yeah,
in there.
I think that's what they call that.
This smaller one's got actual glass bonsai rocks in there, which is super cool. And these ones were made 2 years ago and were never really put up for sale because it's a work in progress for me. And it's been really interesting being a part of this business and our content and our streaming and what we're doing, because I do have the option to do this and set things aside. And I see the way my dad works, Chris, who you see on the show fairly frequently. He was at the beginning of this show. He has 10 projects going at all times, and he's bouncing from one to the other, and you get inspired and you get uninspired, and you want to test something out and you want to test something out. But it would be stressful for me to say I want to complete this piece in the next 2 weeks. If that was to do it for the content, or if that was to do it for the project, if someone was looking to buy one and wanted me to finish it and wanted a certain size and a certain style and do a custom one. Because there's so much that's going to happen. And you guys, I was looking at a snail that I have in my window, one of the first snails that was made, and we save a lot of the product that are the original designs of what we do, because over 3 years of doing a product in snails, I may never sell, we've probably sold hundreds of snails over 4 years. And the opportunity to make those and make them, whether they're the same color on the website over and over, or do one of a kinds and test different colors on them and whatnot, by making, like anything in life, 200, 300 or something, it's going to grow and it's going to evolve, and you're going to learn throughout that whole process. And so to think about this being a finished product, even in the next year, like those are 2 years old, is kind of an impossible idea in my brain. So I'm already feeling like we just kind of capped out on the mojo of this piece during this show. We made one original one, which was purchased. It happened spontaneously on the show. It was a beautiful thing. It was bought by one of our amazing members. Then we went into the studio. We made 4. One of them didn't make it. We made 4 slightly larger and a little more intentional pieces. And then we did a show specific to this design, made 1 large one, which turned out amazing. I love many things about it, which I'll get into the specifics again in a second, but there's still room for improvement, and I think it's something that we're gonna back away from for a while, look at them on the shelf, let it brew, and maybe come back to it when the inspiration spurs again.
Here's a question for you, and maybe you touched on this while I was retrieving the bonsais.
Yeah.
But does these trees here on the table feel like the progression of the bonsai idea, or do they feel like 2 separate ideas to you?
They do. They totally do. And it's this idea, like, I've got this, like, love for, like, you know, the Japanese intention and attention to detail and this really just like ornate design that I find in almost everything I see in Japanese culture, and the bonsais obviously are one of them, and that's originally what spurred me to make those to begin with. I don't think I completely captured what's going on here. I got a little frustrated by it, and then I stopped working on it for a while. That's part of the process. This guy's way too thick on the stem. The whole piece is solid glass. It's super heavy, and it was ridiculously difficult to get this to connect mid-piece hot to the bowl. So there's something that needs to happen cold working wise. I need to figure out how to connect the two. Need to find a way to make this slimmer but hold its integrity and not make it so darn heavy. That's kind of where I got with this. I like the smaller ones, and as I was making these bubble trees, I thought about the idea of making a skinnier one of these and somehow making the bottom a point, like a taper that you could buy. We could make individual bowls in different sizes and shapes, and the bowls had a hole in the bottom that you could replace all the different bonsai types that you accumulate over the years. I think that would be a really cool, potentially more affordable option to have, you know, 3 bowls up there, and you rotate your bodies. You can turn them, you can set them the way that you want to make the piece happen. That's just a thought that I had, but there were a bunch of other thoughts too, and they're not completely complete thoughts, and I knew that this needed to progress into something else.
That is going wild.
That's crazy.
I did, because when I went out there, you told me to grab the big one here. I grabbed both of these when I was looking at them, because I do feel as though this one here on the left is, like, in your mind, the desired size factor.
Yeah.
And the one on the right has a lot of the shaping that you're trying to capture as well.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And so then, you little rascal, over here, we transfer into a very similar design with the trunk. But on this one, I think that I got the proportions really correct. You know, it's a short, squatty stump, but it's got enough space here that you see what's going on. The width of the canopy is beautiful. I think this is a really proportional, nice size for something smaller. I mean, my brain wants to go in like 5 different directions right now too. You also have to think about where this is going to be sat and who's going to purchase it and where it's going to go, how it's going to be displayed. And this, I think, is an appropriate size for someone to get. I've got places in my house where I could set this on, you know, a window ledge that's a little bit wider and let the sunlight hit it, or sit it on the middle of a table somewhere and have it be kind of a centerpiece to a table.
Mm-hmm.
This piece is a big piece. You know, this is an art piece that would go into a gallery, and then someone would have to have a pretty big home to be putting something in like this.
It's going to be hard to find a ledge,
To
like
set
in
this
a
up.
windowsill, to put that in.
Yeah. But I also love the proportions on this as well, and I think the stem's correct. I do think that we're having a difficulty with, unfortunately, a crack right here. Another difficulty that we're having with this is that the powder, I brushed a lot of it off, and this, with a little bit of pressure, comes right off the top of it. So the powder, and at this scale, I wasn't able to look at the top each flash and know what was going on and test. And I also wasn't confident enough to let either Brendan or Oliver take a deep flash on this. This thing was an inch out from hitting the side of the hole every time we went in there. So considering the circumstances, the next time around we'll plan a little bit differently and line it up and plan for doing that move so I could take a look at what's going on. But also, these cut marks are super prominent and not that nice.
Yeah.
And for a piece that's this large and would be this much work, to have the topmost focal point, something that I'm looking to look down on it and see the juiciest, roundest, smoothest, succulent shape like that, that's pretty unappealing. And then putting the powder on top of it just amplified that. So that's something that I want to change up, and something that I'm looking forward to adjusting. I think that would happen from a tighter neckline focusing heat on the front, then going for the deep flash and dropping it. So it's just a tiny little cut that big that we can then torch. And having a person, we'd have to figure out our setup of 3 people. It's like Brendan would have to open, close that door. As I'm getting into the bench, he hustles over, grabs the torch, torches gently that cut mark so I can smooth it out and squish it in there. At the same time, Oliver's making the next bubble and getting it going. The other thing I talked about is that could assist with that is getting the whole top of the tree hot. If I had all those bubbles without them slumping down and losing too much shape, if I was able to have these pretty molten and not cold when we drop the next bubble on there, it would save a lot of heat from those bubbles when it gets dropped on there. They would stay warm, you'd push down on it, they'd all push out and kind of be one more cohesive piece rather than a bunch of not quite hot enough bubbles stuck together.
We're talking a little bit about the customer that's buying a piece like this and where this actually goes in the home. And you're kind of making me almost want to backpedal on what I was thinking about with this. Where I was wondering, like, I like this piece a lot, but I do feel as though in comparison to our 3 that we have here on example, the proportions are so totally different.
They are.
Where I was thinking, like, can we cut down into the top of the trunk more, pull it out so it's a wider top, and go for a squattier, wider, large tree. But now I'm thinking about how, like, wide of a piece that's going to be and where does that even go in a home.
Yeah. It has to be at eye level at that point. Where we're looking at, can you see the trees in that camera view? You look at these trees and all you see is the top. And in particular, if those bubbles aren't perfectly lined up and really smooth like we were just talking about, all your eye focuses on is the bright colors of the tops of the trees. The reason I just held that orange one up and the reason you're down at that level right now is because that's where you see the full tree.
Yeah.
I wanted to make this one taller because you wouldn't have to be perfectly at eye level. Where I'm standing at a 45-degree angle right in between these bubbles, I see the hole, and I think that's the focal point of the tree. So somewhere in between what we're talking about, I think, is exactly what we're talking about. I mean, I love this guy, but he's just squatty. It's got to be up at eye level, and everyone's eye level is different.
Yeah, I think in terms of the shapes that we've done with this idea so far, I think the orange tree is coming the closest.
Yep, I agree. It's shape, size, bubble mass.
Yeah.
I was considering removing some of the smaller bubbles and just doing big ones, which is what we tried in this tree. And I think I actually do like the bigger bubbles. I think the smaller ones get a little too tiny and like too much going on. Like this is detailed, the stem is detailed, and there's a ton going on and a lot to focus on to draw your eye almost away from the brightest color and the top angle. We could have more bubbles like this, and if they were perfectly smooth, probably no powder with a little bit of spotted color like this, and just a few larger ones on top, I think that it would smooth out the whole image and allow you to take a look up here, then browse down and spend some time on the bottom, look into the hole of the tree, find whatever hidden jewel is in that hole of the tree, then come back up and appreciate the color and think about the fall and think about life and trees and growth and all that goodness. And then, of course, there's the issue of 2 of them having cracked. 2 trees, you know.
Yeah.
I think that may have to do with putting them on too cold. Maybe it'll be different if we were doing what I was talking about, having the whole canopy hot, dropping the bubbles on hot, and then they would all be a collective unit instead of a bunch of individuals.
Do you want to spend any time talking about how, like, we made these 3 here, like, in a very different workflow than what we did the big one?
We could. The workflow's being analyzed, I think, is the bottom line of it. And, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a completely different workflow. One of them did crack. One of these did crack.
Fair.
So maybe that timing wasn't still figured out. We were putting on these bubbles hotter, that's true. But I wasn't thinking about changing anything to do with the bubble addition based on crackage of bubble. And you've got trapped air in each one of these. You got a hot one, a cold one, hot one, cold one. Glass expands and contracts. A lot of glass blowers stay completely away from trapping any air in pieces because of this exact reason. And so it's either switching to another style, you know. I mean, this is like, I see this as having equally as many beautiful things and things to figure out and be finessed. And, you know, I think there's going to be a combination of these two products in some sense over the next few years.
The bonsai. What type of tree do we want to call that, you think? Is that like an oak tree? Is that a...
This?
Yeah.
It's almost like, I want to say like a deep forest tree.
Just the deep forest tree. The tree
It's-
on top of the hill.
It's whimsical to me. It's like the kind of thing you see in like, it's like some sort of like, I don't like the word fantasy because it sounds, or whimsical because it's a little too whimsical, but like there's an aura and like a power about it where like you're going through the forest and you're getting deeper and deeper. Maybe you're lost or whatever, and then like you stumble across a clearing and there's no trees around it. You know, there's just good grass, and there's like a deer over there with like some like off-colored horns that don't really seem right or something, and then there's this giant tree, you know, that's like pink foliage and it's got a hole in it. You walk up to it and you look into that crevice and there's that jewel in there, you know, and you're like, holy shit, is that like God? Is that like, you know, like what's running the forest? What's the deal?
The forest spirit.
The forest spirit, something like that.
The tree of the lost woods.
Yeah, that's the essence of it.
Okay, that's the vibe we're going for. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I think that sums it up, and hopefully that gives you guys a lot to think about. And as is with everything in the world, I mean, I'm thinking about teaching glass blowing. You learn your whole life, you start teaching, you learn a bunch more. I was learning a bunch here and thinking about a bunch, start breaking it down, talking about it, thinking about it even more. And I got a 4.5 car hour ride ahead of me right now to Pittsburgh to focus on glass color and glass marini technique. So if that's not enough mojo in my brain for that ride, I don't know what would be.
You just get in the car and think, buddy.
Yeah, the music's gonna be turned down.
Yeah. Couple closing notes from me, if you don't mind. These have been an absolute blast to make. I'm really enjoying the challenges of assisting you in these pieces.
Super fun.
And I'm like, I love all the tree products that we have done and are in development, and I'm really excited to see where this goes over the next 2 years. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a good time. Any errant audio you guys are hearing is just Etta playing. But we'll pull her away for 1 second to say goodbye to y'all.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys and all the content that we do. I think this is a nice kind of specialty video. We got to switch it up over 270 some shows, so we're going to keep it coming. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, please subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends and family about it. Check us out on glassacademy.com. We sell all of our products there, one and dones on the show. And come visit us in Dearborn, Michigan.
All right, goodbye, everybody.